Hey, Wes.
Hey, Wes.
The guy you can start booing right away. Boo, Wes.
So, how long you been doing this podcast? What do you talk about? Is it just like a...
It's just a
We
free for all,
bullshit.
really.
Okay,
We just
cool.
bullshit. And
can I hold this?
You
Yeah,
want?
you can do
Yeah,
whatever
you
you
want to
I
hold
feel
it?
like I kind of want to.
Yeah, hold
Sure.
it. Yeah, go for it.
Oh, well.
You want this one instead?
You want to switch it?
Yeah.
Are we
What about
officially
you?
going
You
now?
How do you
You
feel
want
about
his? I kind of would.
The only thing about
will
that
it pick
one
me
is
up?
just, yeah.
Just
th-
like
those
No,
are
it's
really,
off.
Oh, okay, that's
Just
fine.
like I
Those are really good. Yeah. So,
That's a dummy mic. I got you. It'll make me feel important. $300 worth of nothing.
cool. So this is what episode are we on now? 7. Yeah. So we've had a few of these now. So
Cool.
It's just something we've been trying to do for the area, just because Phoenix is an interesting city. It has a lot of clubs, but the clientele just, I don't know. They don't seem.
They're not comedy savvy.
Exactly.
As comedy savvy as you would like.
Exactly. So we're
Are
trying
we
to do
recording
this.
right now?
Yeah.
Okay,
We're
cool.
going. We are going officially.
Yeah,
so
no, I've noticed that. I mean, they've been great crowds.
Yeah.
So I've only done 2 shows here, but you can tell you can assess a crowd before the show starts and be like, oh, they've never been to a show before, or they're just kind of they're looking around in wonder, or but yeah, they learn quickly how to act.
You think so? Yeah. Has
I
it
think
been-
so. Yeah, they're not rowdy. They're not talking and I think it's a testament to the club to say no table talk. They make
Yeah.
it pretty evident what you're not and supposed to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Phoenix doesn't. They're not rule breakers in Phoenix.
Right. Exactly. So, just by the way, to introduce everybody, we got Tom Brady.
Hello.
Hey, Tom.
He's
how
my
are ya?
feature act this weekend.
Yeah. And
We travel everywhere together.
and
He's
the-
my best friend.
Yeah.
Yep.
Officially, you got the BFF.
Yeah, I
title?
would say he's
yeah.
top shelf. I have a top shelf of best friends. He's Patron.
Oh, he's Patron.
Yeah.
Silver.
Exciting.
I think he's the only guy on the top shelf.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, with my boyfriend too, but
How'd you make it there? I don't know.
just a lot of
hanging
intimate
out.
conversations.
A lot of talking,
A lot of asking me about my feelings. He's had to hear a lot of bullshit. No, he's not. He's not we've never even had that kind of. It's not I've been we're just friends, Tom. He's never.
Been
So.
friend zone.
He's
man.
gay.
No, it's not.
No,
Yeah,
just
I'm
kidding.
gay.
He's not gay.
Might as well
But
be gay. I was wondering in my...
He kind of might as well be in the sense that we have never had any kind of
Yeah,
sexual
no.
tension whatsoever, and he's really.
That's what.
No, but
He's not saying that.
he's from your side. No, but
have
we
no
talk about each other's relationships all the time. He grew up with he was raised by a single mother and grew up with a sister, and
Yeah.
so
yeah.
you get women.
Yeah, you feel like a sister to me. That's
Thank you.
totally
I always
like a
that's what I
comedy
call
sister.
you,
Yeah.
my brother, all the time. But I'm really into incest, so let's get it going.
Finally, the incest topic.
There it is.
Finally.
Cool. Well, I wanted to bring this up just because I'm sure you've talked about it 100 times.
Being
sure,
a female in
well,
comedy?
Just I'm sure you read the whole Hitchens thing, the Christopher Hitchens.
Yeah, I don't know that I read that, to be honest, but I read
You've heard of
all the stuff
of it,
around it and
about it, yeah.
yeah. I mean,
What
I've
are your
read.
thoughts exactly? I had a quote here from him. If you want,
Yeah,
I would
please
like
read
to
the
actually.
quote.
So he basically, the article was published in 2007.
I'm gonna get this tattooed on me in Sanskrit
Please do it, yeah, please
later.
And
my lower
it was
back.
titled "Why Women Aren't Funny," and then
Mm-hmm.
I think after I kind of read through the article a little bit, I don't think he was really necessarily saying that women aren't any less funny than guys. I
Right.
think he was just saying there's no need for them to be as funny.
That's interesting. Okay.
So the quote exactly is this. He says that women have no corresponding need to appeal to men in that way, meaning funny, that they already have appeal to men. And then he goes on to say that humor is a sign of intelligence, and many women believe or were taught by their mothers that they become threatening to men if they appear too bright.
Yeah. I mean, here's
What-
the thing. I've always said this. This is my theory about why, quote unquote, women aren't funny. It's not because we're genetically not as funny. It's because we are conditioned to not be as funny. In school, what do you grow up with? You grow up, when you first start making jokes when you're a kid, it's poop and fart and, just dirty toilet humor.
Right.
And girls are meant to be, not gross. You are not allowed to be gross. A boy can make those jokes, and it's just everyone just laughs and goes, "Oh, come on!" But a girl makes that joke, and that's disgusting. You do not talk like that. So you're shamed right away for the sense of humor you already have as a child. So from that point on, we're shamed about being funny. And so I kept my mouth. I was not the class clown. That to me was a male role to be filled. So it never even occurred to me that I could do stand up or anything until someone told me that you should be a stand up. So I think that that's valid. And as you were reading that, I'm thinking, you know what? That's fucking true. Like, being funny has helped me in my male friendships for sure, but and in some relationships because I date smart men. But like, I think that there are tons of like hilarious comedians. Like some of the funniest guys I can think of have girlfriends and wives who are not funny at all. It is not something they need. They get that from their friends. They don't need a funny chick. They need a hot chick and like, a chick who cares about them and meets their needs, their emotional needs, but does not need someone that is cracking them up in bed. It's just not. It's not as high up on the.
Well, to reverse the role, I mean, you have a boyfriend right now?
Yeah.
Is he funny?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And do you guys challenge each other in that way?
Yeah. He's the first comedian I've first non-comedian, I'm sorry, that I've dated which is great because there's not that like desperation from him to be validated. He definitely gets some self-worth from being funny. I think all men do, but it's not as sad. And he can be sad in other ways, but I'm sure. But yeah, so yeah, he definitely inspires me, and it's and we laugh all the time. I can be like completely. He doesn't see any like motive with me being funny, and I don't have to. I don't feel like he's holding me to any kind of standard. I can just be myself more than I could be with any comedian, kind of. Like, he's very tickled by me. And
it's a currency, right, for men? Like, do you feel it's a currency for you to be funny?
To be funny, yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Oh,
definitely.
100%.
Yeah,
I think that was
definitely.
the point Hitchens was trying to make is
Yeah.
like we need that. I mean, because that's another thing that we have to bring to the table.
Yeah.
In order to get the girl, to,
Yeah.
in order to move forward with life. Like
Well,
we
the
need to
archetype
have
of the
that.
comedian was always like the frumpy kind of
Right, the guy.
disheveled male,
Yeah,
middle-aged or something, right? Is that changing, do you think? There are a lot more...
Yeah, there's so many hot people doing stand-up and, like, attractive people, and which is fine because the thing is, like, I remember early on when I started, there was this female comic who, like, decided that she, like, hated me and wanted to ruin my career because she thought that I looked like the cheerleader in high school. She was like, and I remember hearing this quote through another person, like, she said, she doesn't belong on stage because she was popular in high school, and, like, that person
She
doesn't
already
belong.
had it given to her.
Yeah, and the thing was I wasn't. Like, I didn't learn how to, like, pluck my eyebrows until I was 20, So I learned how to dress myself and put on makeup, like,
Are you
later.
sure about that?
I mean, not now.
Just kidding.
I have to say that I made these guys not do a video podcast. I love that slam.
first
Thank you so
one,
much. Because I am not wearing makeup. But I just, I wasn't cool in high school. I forgot what my point was, but what did you ask me again?
It was has the archetype
good-looking male.
changed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
there's like hot guys, and you're just like, fuck you.
You don't need to be up
Because
there.
it's like you already
Fuck you, man.
leave this for the guys who can't get laid without it.
I
Like,
think that all the time.
Yeah, what do those guys do?
Just
I
go
mean-
fuck all the time. Like, why are you doing stand-up?
I
You
mean,
don't need
Because
to.
it's a
rich,
cool
man.
thing.
but the thing is, there are some guys that do stand up just to get laid. I mean, I know so many guys that say, like, if I wouldn't even approach a girl unless she's seen me on stage. Like, what's the point?
Right.
Because it is such a when a girl sees a guy on stage, I mean, it's such a you're commanding a whole room, and then if you're killing, it's just like the hottest thing ever to a girl. It's like a position of power. You're making me laugh, which is like
Confidence.
I think
and-
Birbiglia has a joke about like like a girl is like, oh my God, I almost peed. It's like the closest you can get to her vagina, like a direct connection to her vagina by making her laugh. But it's not the same for women. Like if I'm up there like making people guys don't generally be like, you're so fucking funny, I want to fuck you. Like that's not the reason. It's
I
because
don't
of
know. I would beg to differ. I hear some guys in the back talk about, like, when you've been up, because you're a good-looking comedian, right? And so I've heard, like, oh, my God. I think maybe
I think like any woman just in society, guys are like that about, and it just so happens you're on stage. So then,
Exactly. Yeah. So if
spotlight.
there was a girl,
Focus.
like, if there was a spotlight on some chick in the back row, they would be like,
But we're
"What's
talking about
Can we do that
Intimidation,
experiment
right?
tonight?
Yeah, we're talking about like,
Intimidation,
absolutely.
because I don't feel intimidated by you being funny and on stage and killing and then coming off and talking to you.
Well,
That seems to be something of the past, maybe, or maybe not.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I would hope that's the case, but I know that it's like I think guys get like I've taken pictures with guys and they're just like shaking and like very nervous. But I think that they probably do that with all girls. But I think that it does. I'm not attracted to men who are attracted to me because of what they see me do on stage, because it's just an exaggerated version of myself. It's kind of like false advertising, like they don't really know me. They think they know me, and people think that they can say whatever they want to me after the show because they've just heard me talk about my vagina, a lot. And so they like, I walked out the other night, I was walking out of the green room / closet, and these guys were just like coming out of the bathroom, and we kind of like crossed paths, and they just said something about, like, I have a bit about fingering, and they were like, they were walking, I like said, oh, and they were like, you were great, thanks, and they were walking off, and they go, we should finger bang her. Like, they like did this like rapey kind of thing where they said we should, and I was like,
Should be a group activity.
like, fuck, that is so gross. Like, that rarely happens, but it does happen, and I just think it's like,
high-five him.
yeah, and it just is like, it takes away like any respect they had for me. That's clearly they have none. Because why would you say that to someone who you think is intelligent and capable of like being her own person? Like, it's such a demeaning thing to say to someone. So I find that that happens a lot. But I think a lot of people are accepting female comics a lot more than they used to. I think it's becoming less of a like
Big deal.
yeah.
An issue. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's still people that are just like, I don't
Yeah,
get it,
yeah.
and all they talk about is their periods.
Do
or
you
whatever.
do you feel like because being a woman you have to talk? It would create the jokes around that. You have to write the material around that.
No, I've never, like, the thing is, I really honestly have never approached stand-up from the second I've started from, like I'm a female comic. Like, I just
You don't
feel
have
like
to
a
make
comic.
that statement right off the bat.
No,
yeah.
if anything, I just kind of make fun of the fact that that's a thing that
Right.
I have to qualify myself as. But I've never felt any different. I mean, the only thing that being a female comic makes me different than being a male comic is that I feel more competitive with women than I do men because of the fact that we are, there's only usually allowed one female per show, and it just seems like it's a spot that we're all fighting to fill.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's that competition in with black comedians as well. I mean, I don't know for certain, but I think that there might be, and white male comics.
Yeah,
I
now
mean,
it's like starting to shift a little bit where
Speak
it's
Yeah.
straight white male comics. Like, people want less of it.
they do,
Which is, I mean, like, it makes sense. More
But-
diversity in a show is
yeah,
good.
that's the only thing I feel different about is I probably am more jealous of or aware of what women are doing than male comics are. That's pretty much the only difference.
So what do you think about bringing him or making the choice to bring someone? You brought a male. Do
Yeah.
you think there's a choice that you made or didn't make to bring a female?
The thing is, yeah, I have a lot of favorite female comics that I've had open for me before, and it's just a matter of, first of all, people kind of, I wish that I could just throw it in their face and be like, deal with it. It's an all-woman show. I'm proud of it. But, there is a lot of overlap in terms of material. And I hate saying this, and I know so many female comics are and feminists are mad at me right now, and I should not do this. But I like diversity on a set. And I should put more women on or whatever. And I allow women to do guest spots. I don't ever stop a woman for opening for me or anything. It's never happened. But if I can choose, I want to bring someone who I chose Tom not because he's a man, but because he's hilarious. And he does something very different than I do. He brings different comedy to the table. If Tom was a girl, which I look at him as one, I would have brought him out, because he's doing different things. It's not about, he's talking about different things. Mm-hmm. Whereas a lot of girls because most girls only have certain comics that we look towards for inspiration. Like there was Sarah Silverman. There's Wendy Liebman. There's Chelsea Peretti. There's like these and like who else? What other?
Bamford or Wanda
Maria
Sykes,
Bamford.
yeah,
Wanda Sykes. Like there's only so many women that we all like. So we're kind of all. We all kind of sound like that because.
Oh, that's interesting.
I know people are gonna like if this ever gets out, which it won't. But
We don't even do
I
it.
feel like it's not a good thing to say. But I just think that a lot of us. I sound like other female comics. I don't think that I should be opening for Sarah Silverman or Amy Schumer. Mm-hmm. Like, I would love to open for Amy. She's one of my best friends. But if she asked to bring me on the road, I would be concerned because I'd be like, our material's too similar. Mm-hmm. And it's not because I'm ripping her off or she's ripping me off. It's just we joke about the same stuff.
Right.
That's so interesting. Like really guy comics are like that too. There was a bigger pool for me to look at when I started stand up to be like, oh, I want to be like that guy.
Right.
And so when you try to shake off sounding like people, but like you're just influenced by people. So if you start with a smaller pool of female comics, you're all drawing from the same pool.
Well, that's
that
why.
makes sense.
That sounds like a great pool.
That's a good pool.
I want to go hang out at that pool.
I do too.
Party, yeah.
Well, that's why I think it's interesting to see if the jokes themselves are based off of that because of that reason. You know what I mean? Like, do you do a lot of political stuff at all?
No, I don't understand any of it.
Yeah,
Like,
you just don't.
I talk about Syria, but like the fact that I don't understand Syria,
Right.
like my joke is like, someone will bring up Syria and I'm like, yeah, I heard they merged with XM and that's been good for them. So like, I don't know anything about like news, but the thing is like, it's interesting that you said because when I first saw Tom, when I first took Tom on the road, I was like, oh, he sounds like this person and this person. And then we've been together on the road now for like 2 years
like
now.
a year,
and you don't sound like any of those people anymore. It just works out of your system. Mm-hmm. And I did the same. I remember when I was starting out, I sounded exactly like Sarah Silverman. Like I can still do like her like impression where she's just like, well, I don't even know what like you just do this a lot with your hands and say like, rape or abortion and stuff like that. And I used to do that all the time. And I still talk like this because I was doing an impression of her and it just stuck with me as a person. So I still do her mannerisms. And, but I don't sound, I remember the one time I was on stage and Harlan Williams was headlining and I was just doing a guest spot and this was like, 10 years ago. And I remember the club owner was like, hey, Harlan, you should watch this chick. Like he told me this later on. He was like, hey, come watch her. She's good. And it was in Kansas City. I was like a local comic and he pulled Harlan over to watch me, and he told me this afterwards, which he shouldn't have told me, but he said Harlan heard like 2 jokes of mine and goes, oh, she's just a low rent Sarah Silverman, and walked away. And I remember hearing that being like, he's right. Like I was just doing an impression of her. Yeah. Like that's all I was doing. And I do a lot of like under the breath type things where I add a word at the end, and that's totally Wendy Liebman. I mean, I think she created that, or Kevin Nealon. They created that kind of stand up, and I've kind of run with it. I don't think that I'm not stealing jokes, but like there are things I think like musicians, like everyone's inspired by someone and then you make it your own. So
of course, yeah.
We've talked about that a few times.
Yeah.
It's an irrelevant point to point out the fact that everything's derivative of everything else.
Yes.
Like,
I mean,
you fucking idiot. What
everything. It's just when someone says like this, you sound like, it's just like, God, it just frustrates me when we're even compared to each other. I don't know. I've just been getting into some stuff on Twitter with people that I just like hate.
Uh-oh, really?
Yeah, like some troll the other day was just like, they tweeted like at midnight. They were like, don't have Nikki Glaser, like no more Nikki Glaser, please, thanks. And I was just like, and they added me on it. And I was like, why do I need to see that? Oh my God. David's in the back. He was in the car with me when I was like having a heart attack tweeting at this woman. Yeah, well, I was, and I was just like, fuck this bitch, And so I was like, why would she at me? So I wrote back, like, well, what am I, thanks for doing that. I was like, I forget what I said. I said something really cool. And I said something back to her just like, I go, you know what? You seem like a nice person. Why would you write something so rude like this? And she was like, just give someone else a chance. And I was like, Okay,
If someone
so
has a chance.
you think that when they ask me, do you think I should turn it down? This is how I make my living. And she's like, well, maybe you should get a job where it doesn't require people to call you. And I was like, everyone has a job where, how did you get your job? Someone had to call you and give it to you, you dumb whore. I didn't say the dumb whore part because I'm like, you're probably not a whore. No one would fuck you. She's so gross. But I didn't do any of that kind of stuff. I just like tweeted like pretty civil things and like argued with her. But it was just like, you know what? And I go, yes, but I'm the most, common appearing woman on At Midnight. But there are men that have appeared way more times than me. And was she writing to them? No. It's like this women on women kind of bullshit happens all the time. The people that approach me most after shows and say like, I don't usually like women, are women.
Yeah.
Are women. Yeah. It's crazy. It's not men saying this. It's women. And it's like, God, why are we so mean?
It's so weird. I wonder why that is. In that documentary, Women Aren't Funny, they interview people on the street, and it's mostly women who are like, I just don't think women are funny.
I just wonder if like they think that they could be doing your job, you know what I mean? And they think they could be doing it better than you. You know what I mean?
I think that they are just, it reminds them that they didn't achieve what their potential, or it just like, it makes them uncomfortable because we are told not to talk that way, or it just goes against what they feel that they could be or are. Like I don't know, they just are really, but then there's some women that are like so down with it, and it's so nice to hear girls after shows be like, you talk just like my friends and I talk, like we could be friends, come get a drink, and I'm like, I'm sober, and they're like, you suck, and then they leave. But yeah, so it's either one or the other, and it's unfortunate when people are so dumb that are just like, I don't usually like women, but I'm like, well, then you haven't seen any women.
Yeah.
What you probably saw, like, I don't. Who are they watching that they hate so much?
Yeah.
It's just like a cool thing to say, I think.
Yeah.
Or they think it is.
Yeah, there's like a meme, right? People just believe it because it's said.
It's out
Yeah,
there.
it's just in the zeitgeist.
If you ask them, like, why do you hate female comedy, they wouldn't have anything to say.
Yeah.
They'd be like, Whoopi Goldberg. It's like, when have you seen Whoopi Goldberg? And, like, I think you're just racist.
Yeah.
So you're sober now, huh? Mm-hmm. How long has that been going on?
As I drink my club soda, 3 years. 3 years and a couple months. Thank you.
What caused that?
I used to drink a lot, like every night, which you can do when you work and you're on the road. And I was just getting hangovers that were like brutal. And I had a show at MTV for a while, and right when the pilot, we began like pre-production for the pilot, I was realizing like I am not gonna be able to do this show if it goes, if I'm
Getting hammered all the time.
Yeah, getting hammered and being hungover all day. Like, I can't function. So I had it in my head, like, you should probably quit. And then I had, like, a real bad hangover in Cleveland, which is where all bad hangovers happen. And I woke up and I was just like, I had to do shows that night. It was like a Saturday night or Saturday. I woke up so hungover and I couldn't get out of bed until I had to, like, go get ready for the show. And I was just like, I remember being in the shower and thinking, like, I feel like I'm dying. Like, and I remember thinking, like, I don't ever want to feel this way until I'm actually dying. Like, because this is probably what being, like, having cancer feels like all the time. And I don't know that that's true, but it's the worst pain I've ever felt. And I did it to myself, and I was just like, what are you doing? Yeah. So then I went home, and I had already bought this book called The Easy Way to Stop Drinking, because I quit smoking with a book called The Easy Way to Stop Smoking, which is by Alan Carr. He's a genius. And I quit smoking like a year before that, so I had bought this drinking book being like, if the method worked for smoking, I can do it for drinking eventually. Yeah. So then I just read that when I got home, and by the time you're done with the book, you don't want to drink anymore. And, then I started smoking pot a lot, and, like, the reason I was drinking is to hide feelings and to, like, push feelings down. And you don't realize that. You think, I'm just drinking to have fun and to just, like, loosen up. And it's bullshit. You're drinking because you're running from your problems. And so when you don't drink, and then you quit smoking pot, which I eventually did, you have nothing. And then they all bubble up and you go kind of crazy. And now I'm in therapy and everything's pretty good now.
Really? So the therapy's been the
addiction is therapy?
I mean, the addiction is like, now I like eat too much sometimes, or eat too little, or exercise a lot, or like, it's going somewhere. My OCD with that stuff my energy is going somewhere to deal with like my anger and all that stuff that I don't know how to tap into because
do you have depression? Or
Like
deep depression?
I used to, but I'm on medication, so I just stay pretty stable.
Level now.
Yeah, it's really good. And I was on it for years, and I never realized, like, I was just like, oh, this doesn't even work. Like, I'm not happy, you know? Like, and so I would go off it, and then I would just get in these real low lows where I'm just in bed all day, and I just am crying, and I can't. You just, you know, if you've been there, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and if you haven't, good for you. But you just feel, you can't function. So I got back on antidepressants probably like 7 months ago, and I haven't had a low yet. But it doesn't make you happy. That's the thing. It's like you just want a magic pill that makes you skip down the street. And so I'm not happy, and I'm still have depression.
MDMA.
Yeah, but I just. Yeah, what'd you say?
Adderall.
Yeah, I can't even. I mean, I would love to have someone prescribe that to me, but it's that I would be so addicted to that shit because you get so much done.
Yeah.
You get so much
Happy?
shitty material done.
You're so focused,
Adderall,
man. that,
really?
like,
Yeah, I mean,
focus,
it's like
fucking
cocaine.
awesome.
Like, have you ever done coke?
No, I've never done coke.
Don't do it, but like,
Try it once so you know.
try it
and then-
once.
all right,
Yeah.
okay.
But it's just like you know, you're just like yeah, and you just like
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
I think there was some caffeine in that coffee because I'm like buzzing right now, and this is how it is. You just like want to talk and like make things and like do things and clean your room.
things.
Yeah.
That's great.
So
Yeah.
it is great, but then it just makes you
But when
an
you crash,
empty.
you crash.
And you're just producing. Have you ever written like comedy on Adderall? It's not good. You're not writing You'll get it done,
not, yeah.
but it's awful. Like, you know, I would take it in college to get a paper done, and I would usually get A's on papers, but if you do Adderall, you get it done in half the time, but you get a B minus, you know, so your work suffers, but you get it done faster.
An interesting way I've heard it put is that there are no biological free lunches. So if you take a thing like that to compensate one area,
Something
Yes.
else is
there's going to be
suffer.
an equal and opposite reaction. So
Yes.
Absolutely.
yeah, that's.
There's no shortcuts. Like,
Right.
if it's too good to be true, there's bad things about it, but you don't eat. That's a great thing about it. So you like lose weight a little bit.
I'm
Yeah,
sold.
sexy.
I know, Tom's sold, but yeah, I wouldn't do it again because you just feel crazy, and yeah, the crash is really bad.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I recommend therapy, literally to everyone I talk to, and antidepressants if you can.
Yeah,
if
I'm
it doesn't
actually
fuck with your.
reading a book right now called The Upward Spiral. I just
Which is what?
It's based on the neuroscience of how to combat depression. It's really interesting. I just cracked it open yesterday. I started going through it, and it's just these step-by-step things that you can do because it's exactly that. I mean, we're wiring ourselves. I mean, especially nowadays with instant, phones and stuff are just fucking everybody up because it's just you're getting bombarded with stuff, and you're just distracted all the time. And before you know it, I mean, everything gets really mediocre because you have so much to do and never enough time to really get to that point where it's feels like you're accomplishing anything.
That's-
What are they doing? Prodding the brain?
Yeah, well, it's I'm no expert at it. Right? I just cracked the book open.
Yeah,
so
well,
I-
you've read who it's dedicated to and stuff like that. Like you've gotten past
that
the
inspiring?
glossary.
I'm in,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But
Like
the
I
guy
could tell
that introduced it was Sam Harris. I don't know if
Oh,
you guys
yeah,
are
I love him.
He's,
Yeah,
he's
Sam
one of my
Harris
guys.
is good.
Like,
Is he wrote this book?
it's not.
He wrote the forward.
He it's one of his
sanctioned
colleagues.
Oh,
Alex
sweet.
Korb is the actual
Okay.
author.
Sam Harris is
Sam,
fucking
I
amazing.
know. Him and Hitchens
Yeah, the guy
and
is-
Yeah.
Denton and
I love
Richard
watching
Hawkins,
the
all those
YouTube
guys.
videos.
I just got into Sam Harris because I used to lie a lot, like not even like big lies, like I wasn't a pathological liar, but I used to just lie to
Well, it's part of the
exaggerate
comedy
things
then,
and do
right?
comedy, yeah. And I
Exactly.
would and on a podcast, we'll get back to your thing. I just
Yeah,
real quickly, Sam Harris, and I was doing a podcast for a really long time, and my boyfriend decided to listen to it one day, which he had never done before, and I was, venting my frustrations with him on the podcast, and because I was too scared to confront him about it because I didn't want him to break up with me or whatever, all my fears. So I would go on this podcast and bitch about him and exaggerate some things for humor and lie about, exaggerate lie is pretty much what that is. Yeah. And he heard it and he was very upset. He listened to a lot of episodes in a short amount of time and broke up with me because of it. And then he was like, you need to read this book on lying by Sam Harris.
Yeah.
And it's like, and at first I was like, I don't want to read that. And then he was not wavering on breaking up. So I was like, I'll just do whatever I can to win him back. I'll do what he said. And I downloaded this book and I read it on the flight and I was just sobbing because I was like, there's no point in lying ever. It's I mean, unless you're doing it for comedy, obviously,
joke.
but he really sold me on that lying book. Like, he argues any way that you would tell like a lie is not good. Like, you don't have to lie. It was so fascinating to me, and I was immediately like, this guy is the shit.
Oh, if you see, or if you have a chance to read his free will book. That's,
Free will?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whether or not we have free will, he argues that we don't.
Yeah,
and
he
it's
has a
really
good point.
Really?
It's
He
fucking
did a whole.
amazing.
If you don't want to read that, you can listen to the Joe Rogan podcast with him.
Rogan does
and
a
they
nice
go
one.
into it for 3 hours.
Yeah.
About it.
Amazing.
It's great.
It's cool
yeah.
shit.
I
Like,
will.
It
I
blew
really,
my mind. I was like, what the?
I really love him. And then I watched some YouTube stuff that he had, and I was just like, he's the coolest guy ever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So wait, what? So this guy wrote this book, and it's all
on
about
depression, and
Yeah.
it's basically just the step by steps you can take. Like I said, I just cracked. I wish I had more to offer to the
No,
conversation at this moment, but definitely check it out because
Do you have depression?
yeah.
And do you treat it?
No, and I just found out all this stuff like just
Yeah.
recently, and so like that's why
It's-
I'm just like my life has kind of been doing this for a little while, and so that's why
How
I
do
was like,
you? How does it manifest itself? Do you stay in bed all day and
oh
like
yeah,
shit like that?
absolutely. Like
Yeah.
I cripple myself to the point where I can't even get up. Like getting out of bed is just like the biggest thing in the world.
Is it like self-loathing, or is it just like?
Oh, it's self-hatred.
it's yeah.
Oh, that's what it is. Like the guilt and shame of just like some of the shit I've done. It's just like.
And I'm sure the shit that you've done is like not bad. Like
it's
sure. I mean, but
I
the
won't
thing
be
is,
worse, let's put it that
for
just
legal
know-
reasons we won't go into
Right,
that.
but like I know that things that have sent me into a spiral is like I got a new computer and I spilled water on it like immediately, like
Yeah.
right away, and I felt so stupid and so why do I deserve to live because I'm such a fucking idiot that I can't, this nice thing that I just spent all this money on I've ruined. And I remember going out, like I had to go do a show which I wanted to cancel, but I remember like walking by a dog and being like, I hope it just bites me and attacks me because I deserve to suffer for what I've done. Yeah. And then I told my therapist that, and she was like, but didn't you already suffer enough because you ruined your computer? Like, isn't that punishment enough? But like, that's I feel
the
that
spiral. Like,
yeah,
that's
it's a
what
spiral. Like
happens.
that is enough to send me into like, you're such a fucking idiot. You don't deserve to live. And then I have all these. What have we called the suicidal ideations? Is that what?
Yeah, suicidal ideation.
Yeah.
I got an idea.
Yeah, like Tom, I said this on a podcast the other week that we did together, and I was talking about. I would always just fantasize about suicide, and it's something that I'm certain that I won't do because I've considered it many times, and I've just like made a promise to myself I wouldn't. But like sometimes it soothes me, like when I'm having those bad. I haven't done this in forever, but like when I'm having the lowest lows, I just like think about like killing myself.
Absolutely.
And it just is like lulls me to sleep like a sweet lullaby or something. It's crazy,
Oh,
but it really does make me feel so good. And And I was saying, we said that they're called suicidal ideations, and Tom made a joke like, "I've got an idea." Like, what? That's
it's
such
just
a
weird that it's called ideation. Like when you think it, like a light bulb pops up in your head, you're like, I could kill myself.
It evokes that
Well,
idea.
It
you know what I
is.
think is like interesting because all of us. He's a painter, a musician. You guys are comics and stuff. Is that I think that's the thing about artists though is like we almost romanticize like the pain, right? I mean, it's like we
totally.
kind of need that in order to feel edgy or feel like that's what's going to give. And that's what's bullshit about it though, right? At the
feels
same
good, though, to
time,
dig
like
in there, though,
yeah,
and
because
sink.
it's dark. Like
I know.
I glorify like guys like Hunter S. Thompson, Bukowski, guys like that were just
Yeah.
fucking like so, just like
I mean-
miserable, but
And
like,
miserable, yeah. they're
Robin
not
Williams,
happy.
Greg
Exactly.
Giraldo,
Like,
Harris
yeah.
Whittles, like people, all these people who have died tragically because
Mitch Hedberg, like all those.
and it's they all like. Could you imagine anyone more successful than Robin Williams?
Right. Why?
No.
Why?
Oscar winner, movies, stand up, like more beloved than Robin Williams. It doesn't make you happy. Like
Right.
being successful doesn't make you happy, and maybe he was driven by those low lows, but in the end it killed him. And is like that worth it? I don't think so. I remember Sarah Silverman saying that she was on Zoloft or whatever she was on, and that she was worried it would affect her stand up. And she's like, but it's not worth it to even.
Fuck with it.
Yeah. And it's like, you can still feel pain, and you still get broken up with, and you can still be really sad, but that can generate material for you. Like you're not like a
yeah.
happy person if you treat your depression.
Absolutely. And,
Because it'll kill you.
The other thing that I think is kind of interesting from some of the material I've seen from you is like you have a lot of like relationship things, and I think that pain has obviously been you it seems like you put yourself in a cycle with that. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Is that a
No.
fair statement to make? or
I
is that-
definitely I think we all do that.
Oh,
where it's
yeah,
just like
for
we,
sure.
and it's just it's something. My therapist always says that the best relationship is one where you can be with or without the person, you'll be fine.
Right.
Like there's no I need to be validated by his love or her love, And I think that when I go through a breakup, I literally the last time when he broke up with me, we're back together, but when he broke up with me, I thought I was gonna be institutionalized. I felt that crazy. I was I remember calling my friends and being like, "This is not good. I am not well. I don't know how to function." It's scary. It's so scary that
You worry about that for the future of the relationship?
I
now
mean,
you depend
well,
on
you
this
know
guy?
what? I don't because I actually said this the other day. If it happens again, I've already been through the worst. I don't see it being worse than that. I hope maybe it could,
That's
but
wishful thinking, though, right?
it is. But I think also I've grown as a person since that. Even though it was just 5 months ago, I think that now I wouldn't. I'm learning more self-worth than what he gives me. You know,
Yeah. Well, it
I'm
seems
what
like
am I without him? It's well, you're fine.
Well, what you can
Yeah.
do is you can develop flags, red flags of oh, I'm going down that road again. Oh, here we go.
No, but it is so fucking easy to ignore those
Oh, of
and
course.
be I mean,
You
I
justify
don't
it. You're
see
like, oh, yeah,
any
it's-
way that I will ever get to a point where I go, I don't, unless I'm unattracted to, that's what you got to do. You got to get yourself where you're unattracted to someone who does the thing that
you
is a
need
red
to-
flag. Because if,
Date ugly people then.
right,
you go.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for instance, I used to love when guys would be jerks to me and would show no interest in me.
Yeah.
I loved that. And now it could not turn me off more. If a guy is just too cool and into someone else, I'm I don't want you.
Did
and
you-
I
did
still
you read
have
the
friends.
game?
Yes, I read the game. I mean, I can tell if someone guy's doing the game. I can tell if a guy's into me and just brushing me
God.
off just to
The
be
game.
cool.
Was that a conscious decision, though, or was that just maturity, evolution, growing
No,
up?
it's
conscious?
therapy, and I think it's also liking myself. And I didn't used to like myself, so I was if a guy didn't want me, I'd be
Okay, so
yeah, he's smart. I'm not worth wanting. And then as soon as he did, I wasn't interested anymore. I mean, it was a cycle I went through over and over again. And with my boyfriend now, I remember liking him so much. I was obsessed with him, and I worked with him, and he didn't know I had this big crush. Everyone in the office knew. And I was scared when he found out that if he liked me, I wouldn't like him. And I was really, and then he did like me, and I wasn't freaked out. And I was I'm finally in a place where I think I'm cool enough to be with this guy that I think is really cool. Mm-hmm. And it was, that was such a good feeling because it was just a cycle of liking guys who didn't like me. But now, my friend, likes this guy right now who does not like her, and he has sex with her, but he doesn't like her, and I'm just how could you want to be with someone who doesn't like you? It doesn't even make sense to me now. And so but I think everyone goes through. I mean,
Well,
we all want what we can.
I'm still
think,
doing
it's
it.
that-
Yeah, you are.
The whole online dating thing right now is developing that mindset. I mean, that's the norm now. Is you're shopping now, and you find a thing, and then you're oh, okay, this is a pair of shoes that I like for the day, and then you get fucking rid of it, and you get a new one.
Yeah.
And that's becoming the norm now.
Well,
it's weird.
I think it's that, but also Tom, you do that because you don't like yourself enough.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
It's not
what
maybe,
you said,
it's definitely that.
I believe they're right if they're not into me. There's a girl I'm still kind of caught up on who
Don't do it,
told
Tom.
me I was the worst or whatever, and then I broke up with her eventually. But I still think about her sometimes because I'm she was the last one.
She's right. She's right.
Yeah.
I am the worst. Anyone who argues that they I know so many girls that like guys who don't like them. If you are one of those people that like someone that doesn't like you, you don't like yourself. There's no other way around it. You don't like yourself. And that's
Yeah.
fine. You're a comedian. Of course you don't like yourself. That's why we do this, because we
Yeah,
need
yeah,
people
yeah.
to tell us that we're
To
good because
validate,
we
yeah.
don't like ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I think that the only way to get past that is to start just appreciating yourself. And one of the big hurdles for me was just being oh, you know what? I'm not the best. I'll never be the best. I'm never going to be the prettiest. I'm not a model. All these things that I have all these high expectations for myself to be perfect. I remember my therapist saying this to me, and it really hurt. But now I'm okay with it. She's you're average, and that's good enough. You're average. And I was just I am not average. I am hilarious, and I am this and that. And she's no, you're average. And it's accepting that and just being cool with that and being okay, then I'll be the best average that I can be.
absolutely.
Has been such a load off and just been okay, good.
Kind Like ego fighting and stuff. Like,
Yeah, like I used to
fuck
hate
I'm the
myself for
best.
so many things, and now I'm just like, it's just who I am, and I don't care. Like, yeah, I suck when it comes to that, or I have really gross feet, but like it doesn't make me a bad person. I mean, they're not gross. I just have I have bunions, and it's a problem. But like I don't. That's funny to me now. It's like, oh, no one else has feet like these. These are weird.
People that make progress, like it seems like you're making progress, and I would argue maybe everyone here, that it just presupposes that you're willing to put in the time. It's just like everything else. If you want to be good at something, you got to put in the time. If you want to change how you think you can, you just have to make a conscious effort to do it on a daily basis.
That's totally it. It's people just think it's just going to happen naturally. It's fucking work. It's money, and I mean, but you can, anyone who makes the excuse, like, I don't have the money right now, there are ways around that. There are people who will, like, I mean, my therapist now, I was broke when I went to her, and she was like, well, you'll be successful someday, so just pay me then. And so, and now that I'm paying her now, she's like, you're paying for someone who I'm doing that for, which I did for you. So, like, there's always someone who works on a sliding scale.
That's really cool.
You can get help anywhere, but it's not going to be like, people just expect like to go to a therapist and be like fixed, and they're like, I just didn't like it. And it's like, well, also, you have to like shop around for therapists. You got to find one that you click with. So many people say, I went to one and I hated him, so I'm not going back. It's like, is that how you work with dating? Like you hate one guy, so you're never gonna date a guy again? Yeah. I mean, I think that's how lesbians are made, but no, they choose that. But yeah, like I think that yeah, you just gotta. It's work. I appreciate you saying that because it does feel like a lot of times it's very self-indulgent to like work on yourself.
Do you hear this enough though? Do you get this feedback enough of people saying you are doing the good things, or are you just around people that are just constantly like taking from you?
My parents are like. Parents never like you to go to therapy because they get all the blame. So don't ever try to look for any help from them. They'll never be like, oh, if I ever mention Donna, my parents are not into it because, I've realized some things about them and I've gotten over it and I've accepted them for who they are. But in the beginning it was rough where I was like, I can't talk to you guys anymore because I'm so mad at what you've done to me. Wow. But then you move past it. But yeah, and my therapist is really tough. I recommend getting a therapist that you kind of hate. Like, in terms of, who challenges you. Yeah, therapists that are just like, oh, that seems hard. Tell me how that feels. And they just don't. Mine is, yelling at me, like, you're average. You're not a beauty.
Get it together.
You're not a beauty. And I remember being like, you can't say that to me. Like, I am beautiful. And she's like, you're fine. And I was just like, okay. And then I remember just leaving being like, she was like, you're never going to be a model. And I was like, I don't want to be. And I was like, I kind of want to be. I admitted it. I've given up that dream. Obviously, I'm 30. I'm not going to be a model. But, I have this standard for myself. And it's just stupid because I'm always going to fall short of it. So why don't I just, be fine with who I am? So, yeah, find someone who, pushes you. Yeah. And the times that she does say, good job, you've done some work. I'm always just like, yes.
They mean more at that point because she's riding your ass up into that point.
Yeah, she will not give it to me unless I deserve it. Absolutely not. So it's nice. That's awesome. So.
What about you, man? You in therapy?
I went a few times. I actually had that experience. I just now realized I called my mom and I was like, hey, I need your insurance card for the therapy, and she was real weird about it.
Yeah.
But no, I moved to. I didn't even think about the fact oh yeah, it's your it's not her fault, but she was like, oh, this is probably my fault.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't been in a while. I haven't been in a long time. I want to go back. So I should go for sure.
Everyone needs it.
Talking to Nikki is kind of like therapy for me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've given Donna-isms, which I call what my therapist says, to so many people. I think it's like going to the gym, which I don't do, but everyone should do it. Everyone, even if you think you got it all figured out. Do you guys go to therapy?
Yeah.
No?
I just. No.
Why no?
Maybe I'm still
You need
fighting.
to fucking go,
Yeah.
man.
You
gotta see this
You
guy's
definitely
paintings.
need to go.
You gotta see his paintings.
If you're an artist, you need to go. There's.
No, I've got some dark shit, but I used to do I just push myself to limits in other ways. I go to the gym a lot. I bring this up too many times, but I used to race motorcycles. That was those were my outlets that I would really.
Yeah, but.
But now, it's now.
But that's also just putting it in different places. It's not really feeling the feeling.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, that's like saying, I drink a lot. That's not.
No, that's not. That's unproductive.
Yeah.
Yes, this is productive, but it also, you can go too far. Like, going to the gym can be detrimental at sometimes. Racing motorcycles, definitely dangerous. Like, that's not, like, sitting in an office talking to an old woman is just, like, no risk. It's only benefit. Yeah.
I know.
I had my last therapist was awful. Like,
Really?
Yeah, she was just like a raisin. Like, she looked like a fucking raisin. And she was just like, I thought she was the crypt keeper. Just
Oh,
like,
that was a raisin you were talking to.
Yeah,
That's the
that could've
problem.
been the
I might have been talking to a raisin.
Why were you paying that raisin?
Been talking to this raisin for 3 hours. But she had these fucking cats in there all the time too, and they just, just staring at you. And you're just like, God damn it, I don't need you assholes already
no.
judging me already too.
Yeah.
So it just, but the conversation was just a circular bullshit.
Yeah.
And like, so why do you do that? I don't fucking know. That's why I'm paying
Yeah.
you, lady. Like,
You should leave a therapist feeling, like, angry
Oh,
and just, like, fired up.
we were hostile, but not in a good way. 'cause
Not in a good way,
Yeah, it was
right.
just kind of like, well, it became like life choices. Like, it was fucking weird. So I was just
Yeah.
like, all right, I'm leaving. Like,
Right.
fuck this. But yeah, I'm trying a new thing. I'm trying the Doctor on Demand. Have you tried that? It's
What's
like
that?
FaceTime.
Oh, that's cool.
It's interesting.
Do you pay for it?
Yeah, you pay for it.
Yeah.
It's you get like 25 minutes for like $40, $50. They
Okay.
have different promo codes and stuff now, and it's interesting. I mean, I don't know how. I mean, I've gone to like 2 or 3 sessions so far, and it's been like, it's interesting.
That's
to think-
better than nothing, man.
Well,
Like,
exactly. I mean, and
when I'm
this
on the
helps
road,
though, too.
I
yeah.
just call my therapist, and it works.
It
I
helps.
never want to because it's a
Right.
fucking phone call, and it's
Right.
just like, ugh. But I always get off the phone being like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do, like, or just I feel better.
Right.
So yeah,
Get
you
the
should probably
shit
check that out.
Yeah, maybe I
FaceTime
will. I've
on.
heard they have like
Doctor
sliding
on
scale
Demand.
programs where you can spend like $20 or something
Well,
like that.
check
or
out
25.
universities too, man. I mean,
Yes.
like go to some schools. I mean, I'm probably gonna do that. Go maybe to
Yeah,
ASU. And
I feel like
see
in
if they have
Chicago
some
there's
stuff.
probably a lot of that.
Yeah,
but
you can find some stuff that's pretty
Definitely.
inexpensive.
yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna
I've
check
never
it
called
out.
like a suicide hotline. I bet they would just like talk to you
I bet
if you're
that
not
would
on the
be-
edge of anything. Yeah.
I'd really like to hear that conversation with you. And
That'd be so fun now. You go to suicide hotline
Just
to be
tying
like,
up the
I don't really
lines.
love
Hey,
myself
man.
right now.
Yeah, like I'm just.
I drank too much fucking Splenda. I'm
Yeah.
fucking wired, man.
I feel weird. I lost a comedy contest.
That's awesome. Yeah. Where are we with time? I don't want to keep you.
I think we're good. We can wrap this up. I
Are
think
you? Yeah, you good?
in a couple minutes.
Okay, cool. I know you're on a tight schedule, so.
It's not tight. It's just like I have 2 shows tonight, and I
I
just
think
like
you
to
were
nap
just
and
like
stuff.
trying to feel us out, see if this was worth talking to.
That's true. That's true. That's absolutely true. You
But these
never know.
guys fucking-
Sometimes
yeah.
it's just
First 10
I'm
minutes
sure
they're
of
these are-
misogynist, and they're just like, so you just
What
need
got
an
you into
out.
comedy? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you guys have been really cool. This has been actually an interesting conversation that I think it can help some people.
I
you
hope
know.
it does. I
Yeah.
mean,
Maybe
I think
Yeah,
You should
it's helped us.
seriously.
Yeah.
What do you paint? What
You should
do
see
you
this
do? You
guy's
make a
shit.
living painting?
he's
no,
awesome.
No, I don't even try to.
Oh, right.
Right now, I'm at a stage where I'm just working. Like, I'm not even attempting to go show it anywhere. I'm just keeping my head down and working.
That's
And,
good.
That's
What do
why
you
I
do
moved
for
out
money?
here. I work here.
Oh, you
Oh,
do. Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I'm sorry.
Were you here last night?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's
Yeah,
the guy
for the
that
last couple
introduces you,
days.
so he could probably put the
Yeah.
big meat spin behind you. So don't fuck with him.
Okay. What's the meat spin?
You don't know what meat spin? Oh my
I don't know
god!
what that
I
is.
can't
No.
believe I brought this up. Just
Anything
look it
behind
up.
me besides my name and
Just,
Twitter handle would be
are
great.
you
Spin.
gonna
Is
bring
that
it?
like the wiener that goes around like in a circle? Is that what it
You should've
is?
said it, man. You fucking
I'm sorry. I just
No.
guessed.
See,
A
it's-
wiener that
It's
goes
a
around.
GIF.
It's a gift.
Like it spins
Yeah.
around like this.
Can we put it
How
on
did I
during
know
your
that's
set?
what it was without ever knowing what
I don't
that's
know,
so
man.
weird.
That is
I've gone
weird.
into the depths
Did
of
you
the
like
internet.
create it?
I did create it. It sounds like something I
It
would have
does
made
sound
up.
like something you would have done.
Can we put it on during your set tonight? Man?
Oh,
Just
of
in the
course.
background?
My set
Would that be
basically
cool?
is that verbally. The end of my set basically is
This is
that.
a big wiener.
Hey, it might as well
flopping
be.
around.
Oh,
huh?
okay. Do you want to see it?
You ready? All right, here it is.
That's what I thought it was.
That's what you thought it was?
That's what me spinning.
Oh my god.
Usually it's tied
Wait,
into a thing.
that's 2 dudes.
That's two
Dudes.
I didn't realize that. I don't know. It
Like,
took me a while.
it's
Which I'm not
old.
disgusted by any means, but
But
it's just I don't usually watch gay
It's
porn,
not
so
like
it's shocking.
homophobic to be like weirded out when you see 2 dudes fucking because it's shocking a little bit.
Yeah,
don't
I
think
mean,
that's
I'm not used. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
seek that kind of porn out, so I
Right.
don't know that I've ever seen full pen
Really? Full
like up
trace?
close.
Really?
Full trace.
Full
with,
Dick Tracy.
Yeah. Dick
It got
Tracy.
misogynistic. We're sorry. It went down that road.
No, it didn't.
Yeah,
that wasn't misogyny. There's no women in that getting plowed.
I feel like, here, watch this.
No. I wanted to see the. What did you
man.
call it? The dick circle?
Meat spin.
Meat spin.
I don't know how I knew
The dick
how I
circle.
guessed.
The
Oh,
dick
wait,
circle.
I think
like
I
the
saw
dick
that
circle.
like years ago,
It's old,
and it
it's
just
old.
locked into my
And
brain.
it's always attached
70s.
with a thing.
You were
like
filming that.
Yeah.
You were the.
It was always attached to a counter, though. Like, how many revolutions
Yeah,
would you get
you
in
can
before
get-
you shut it off? Like, that was
Right.
the
Oh,
joke
that's
about it.
interesting.
Yeah.
I
That's
torture
funny.
myself with shit like that, so I could have watched that all day, I think.
I can't
think
believe
I'd
I've
break
never
the
seen
record.
that. I'm very active on Reddit. I love GIFs, but I just missed that.
I've already seen 5 dicks today, so that wasn't even...
Really?
Yeah, because I did another Craigslist thing here, so...
God.
Wait,
Tom?
explain that.
Yeah.
Explain this.
I won't go too into depth with it, but every city I go to, I like to post like a weird thing as a
Yeah.
woman for men.
Strictly platonic thing or something?
No, in the casual encounters.
Oh, okay.
I post like the weirdest, grossest thing I can think of, and today I posted one that was like, "Hey, I wanted somebody to fuck me on my dad's grave because he never wanted me. He never wanted me to fuck a hot dude, so I want to spite him. So bring flowers because I don't want to disgrace him too much because I don't want to get haunted. Lol." I've gotten so many fucking emails. A lot of D's.
They want to do it?
Oh, a lot of people are
God.
into it. I posted on Instagram
What
some
the
of the
fuck is
responses.
wrong with people?
It's
That is
weird.
fucking
This one dude
hilarious.
emailed me
Wrong
and
with
said,
people. He's the one trolling them.
I know. It
No,
said something
I
about
mean-
me. They're into it though. They're like, I'd
thinking,
love
what's
to
wrong
fuck.
with this fucking guy?
I'd love to
I
fuck
gotta get
that
some
ghost out of the
shit.
grave.
That's good. I like that.
He does shit like this all the time. It's so
It's
funny.
like my favorite. It's like how I get a
had a-
local taste so that I can see what
Well,
the town
one
is
time
like.
that you did one that wasn't like a dirty one, you just were trying to get a clown for your father's funeral.
Funeral clown, yeah. I wanted a clown to come entertain like the people at my dad's funeral because he was a respected clown in the community. It's not real,
Yeah.
but I got some submissions. I was like, send a headshot, please.
That's
And a guy
amazing.
sent a headshot, but it didn't have clown
Didn't have
makeup.
clown
So he
makeup.
was like, send it with makeup on. And I was like, Tom, you can't do this to people. He's going to
Fucking
waste
dick,
makeup. I was worried about this clown wasting his precious makeup.
God.
You say you're a real headshot, like a legit headshot?
Somebody sent me a real headshot. Yeah. It was the legit.